Okay, so what if everything you think you know about marketing is just wrong? What if, instead of being this giant hole in your budget, your marketing could actually become your company's biggest, most powerful profit engine? Today, we're diving into a really radical shift in thinking that's flipping the old rulebook completely on its head. You know, Mark Twain was just brilliant at this stuff. He once said, "It ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble, it's what you know for sure that just ain't so." I mean, just think about that for a second. We all have these blind spots, these assumptions we hold so tightly, and those are the very things we're going to challenge right now. So, what happens when we take that idea and aim it right at marketing? What if the truths, the foundational principles you've built your whole strategy on, are the very things chaining your business down? It's a big question, and honestly, we're about to see just how deep this rabbit hole really goes. All right, here's the game plan for today. First, we're going to peel back the curtain on what I call marketing's great illusion. Then, we're plunging into the ROI black hole. From there, we'll look at the rise of owned media and this powerful new model where brands become media companies. We'll show you exactly how to flip marketing from a cost to a profit. And finally, why the future, your future, is all about publishing. Let's do this. First up, marketing's great illusion. See, our brains are amazing, but they come with, well, let's call them glitches. Cognitive traps that can totally warp how we see reality. And in the world of business, these little glitches can be unbelievably expensive. You know, psychologists like Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, they basically showed us our brains are kind of glitchy and easily fooled. Think about the gambler's fallacy. You're at the roulette table, red comes up 3 times, and your brain is screaming, "It's a hot streak, bet on red," even though the odds on the next spin are exactly the same. Or how even the most brilliant experts can get so overconfident that they miss obvious signals. And then there's this one, the power of a single piece of information. They showed a class a pretty ordinary landscape painting. Then they told them it was painted by Adolf Hitler. And just like that, nobody could see it as just art anymore. That one fact poisoned the whole thing. These biases are just baked into how we think, and they really mess with our decision-making. Okay, so how does this brain glitch stuff actually play out in a real business? Let me take you back to 1977. The movie is Star Wars. The executives at 20th Century Fox knew for a fact that a movie makes its money from one place, selling tickets. And because they were so sure of this, they made a deal that's now legendary as one of the worst business decisions of all time. They let George Lucas keep the merchandising rights to the film if he'd take a smaller fee for directing. They thought they were geniuses, saving a cool $500,000. And this is where what they knew for sure just wasn't so. And it cost them big time. Just look at this. The movie ticket sales, an incredible $5 billion. But the merchandising, the action figures, the toys, the stuff they literally gave away, that brought in over $12 billion. Fox was so locked into their old model, what they knew, they were completely blind to an opportunity more than twice the size. George Lucas wasn't making a movie, he was building a universe, a totally different business model. And that story, that massive blind spot, leads us right into one of marketing's oldest, deepest wounds, the ROI black hole. For decades, we've been scrambling to prove our worth, and that struggle has created this huge rift between marketing and the rest of the business. Okay, check this out. It's a true story, and it's a total head-scratcher. A manufacturing company has an unbelievable year. Sales are up 650%. It's the first time they'd really spent any money on marketing, so the CFO naturally wants to know, okay, what worked? But when the team dug into the numbers, they were stunned. Pay-per-click, trade shows, ads, you name it. When they measured each campaign on its own, every single one was a money loser. I mean, how is that even possible? But wait, it gets even more absurd. So the CFO goes to each department, marketing, sales, PR, e-commerce, and asks them to report how much of that 650% growth they were responsible for. When he added up all their claims, the total wasn't 650%. It was an impossible 1,850%. Everybody was the hero of their own story, claiming credit for the same success. This right here is the smoking gun that our old-school attribution models are totally broken. They just can't see the bigger picture. And look, when you can't prove your value in a language the CFO understands, this is what happens. You get this deep-seated, really damaging view from the C-suite. One CEO just came right out and said it. Marketing is a tax. And what do you do with taxes? You try to pay as little as you possibly can. When marketing is just seen as an expense, a cost on a spreadsheet, it's always first on the chopping block. That's the mindset we've been fighting against. But here's the good news. There's a way out. A huge shift is happening, and it's all being driven by the rise of owned media. This is the key to escaping that ROI black hole. All owned media really means is any content channel your company controls, your website, your blog, your email newsletter. It's where you are the landlord, not just some temporary renter on Facebook or Google's property. This is where we take back control. So let's walk through this journey, right? It's like a maturity model for content. At first, it was just a simple loyalty tactic. Think about an in-flight magazine, something to read after you've already bought your ticket. Then the internet comes along, and it becomes a marketing tactic, all about keywords and SEO. But as things got more crowded, it had to grow up into a real marketing strategy, focused on quality. Now, the really smart companies see it as a core business strategy. They build the audience first. But the final step, the revolutionary one, is when you turn that owned media into its very own profitable business model. And this brings us to the final evolution, the big idea, Media Incorporated. This is that moment when brands stop thinking like they're just buying ads and start acting like actual publishers. And trust me, it changes everything. When you think about this, who comes to mind? For a lot of us, it's Red Bull, right? But the way they started is just incredible. Picture this. You're leaving a Formula One race, and someone hands you this slick, beautiful guide with the official race results. To make that happen back in the day, Red Bull literally dragged a 1-ton printing press to every single race just so they could print that last page on site. Now that is commitment. That's seeing a real need and filling it. So from that 1-ton printing press at a racetrack, Red Bull Media House was born. Today, their Red Bulletin magazine, just the magazine, prints and distributes more than 2 million copies every single month. And here's the absolute key. They don't measure its success based on how many cans of energy drink it sells. No way. They measure it like a media company, on its own profitability, its audience, its cultural impact. They're not just sponsoring the culture, they are the culture. And look, I get it. You might be thinking, sure, that works for Red Bull, but what about a totally normal, traditional company? Well, say hello to Johnson & Johnson, the company that makes baby powder. They run BabyCenter.com as a totally separate media business, and it is an absolute juggernaut. And I mean, get this. This isn't some little side blog. BabyCenter reaches an incredible 8 out of every 10 new and expectant mothers in the entire United States. They have become the go-to resource. They built this priceless media asset that gives them incredible insights and data, which is gold in today's world. This is so much bigger than just selling more baby shampoo. It makes them an essential part of a parent's life. And then you've got Lego. The Lego movie was not just a 90-minute ad. It was a for-profit blockbuster, and it was pure genius. It cost $60 million to make and brought in almost $500 million at the box office. The marketing was the product, a hugely profitable product. Oh, and yeah, it also led to a massive spike in Lego sales. How do you measure the ROI on that? You don't. You build it as a profit center from the get-go. Okay, so at this point, you're probably asking the big question. This all sounds great, but how does the money actually work? Well, it's all about completely reimagining the marketing P&L statement and moving it, once and for all, from the cost side of the ledger over to the revenue side. Let's put these two worlds side by side, okay? The old way versus the new way. Old marketing is a cost center. It's all about renting audiences for short-term campaigns that interrupt people and shout about how great your product is. The new model? That's a profit center. It's about building your own audience with a long-term content strategy. You're not interrupting, you're engaging. You're not just describing value, you are creating value for the audience. It's a fundamental shift from taking to giving. And just to prove this isn't only a B2C game, let's talk B2B. Arrow Electronics, a huge Fortune 500 company, noticed that the trade magazines their customers, electrical engineers, depended on for information, well, they were all struggling. So they did something brilliant. They just started buying them. They became the media company their entire industry needed. They didn't just join the conversation, they bought it and made it better. So where does all this leave us? It points to a whole new reality, really. A new mission for every single one of us in marketing. The future of your department, maybe even your career, isn't just about marketing anymore. It's about publishing, and it's time we all start acting like it.
This quote from Victor Gao over at Air Electronics, it just nails the entire mindset shift. He said, our job is to make sure that the underlying market keeps growing, and we can make money doing exactly that. See, it's not about fighting your competitors for a bigger slice of the same old pie. It's about baking a much, much bigger pie for everybody. When you create the content that educates and grows your entire industry, you automatically win. And you do it all while turning your marketing into a profitable machine.
So I'm going to leave you with one last kind of crazy thought to chew on. In a world where all the old marketing tricks are getting more expensive and less effective every single day, what if the smartest, most radical thing you could do was to kill your marketing department in order to save your business? Now that's a question worth asking.